Introducing the Poet Life Podcast. Go check it out today on your favorite platforms, including iTunes, Apple Music, and the website, thepoetlife.com.
Find a way.
Hey, it's Christoph Wrights of the Poet Life Podcast, and tonight I'm super excited to have Antanya Valère on our episode tonight. How are you, Miss Valère?
Well, I'm blessed to be alive and well, so I'm just giving God thanks for another day, and I'm also honored to be here.
Awesome, most definitely. As you can tell by her accent, she is in Jamaica right now. And I'm super excited to have our first guest on the Poet Life Podcast from Jamaica. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Let me ask you, where did poetry come in to works with you? Like where did you start as it relates to poetry?
Well, I began writing at age 10, and why I say like I'm so specific with the age is because I still up to this day have books that I notebooks that I wrote poems in, and so and I used to write like my age, like say my name, my age, the title. So from there on, I began writing, and it was one of the cheapest thing that I could afford. I did not grow up rich. I didn't grow up privileged with toys and technology, and which is actually a very good thing because in Jamaica we used to. You would say that we had moments where we could play football, cricket, 1, 2, 3, red light. We used to make like box trucks. So we had a very fun time as children. We were able to be creative. For me as a girl, my mom, she was a bit overprotective. I'm the only girl. She has 3 sons. So I was kind of locked in the house most of the time. I kind of was at the gate looking out, watching everybody play. A few times she would say, yeah, you can go out play. But majority of my time I was in. And, mothers, that's how they're going to be. And so for some reason, I just began to express myself like you have nothing else to do. And most of the thing that I had was books. My mom was always reading to me from, she said I was in the womb. She was always reading. Wow. And so I guess based on that, I just naturally love to read. And my cousins, they're away now in the US, but when they were leaving, they left books. And so I always had books to read, and that was my, world of imagination. So I was able to always express myself, but I was very shy. So after a while, I'm there writing in my books. My mom would see me always writing, drawing and stuff like that. Till one day she said to me, like, let me see what's in your book. And I didn't want to show her because it's private.
Right.
And then after she read it, she didn't really think anything of it. It's just writing. She didn't think like anything major. But like our friends would come over and she would say, hey, Christina, read one of your poems. And I would. And by the time I was about, I don't remember, but probably 13 or so, I read for a lady and, she began crying uncontrollably. And I was there standing like, what's going on here? And my mom was, just hugging her. And at that time, it kind of struck me that there is something in my words because, here is this lady, she's crying. The poem that I wrote was See I Rise. It was actually inspired by, rest in peace to Maya Angelou, because Maya Angelou is like a poet that I always look up to. So yeah, I wrote a poem based on her poem.
Wow. Did that lady ever express to you how that resonated with her?
She was just crying. She couldn't find the words to tell me. But by that age I could understand to a degree that the poem meant something to her because she was just crying pretty much like for the whole day. She was just crying.
Wow.
And my mom was like, whoa, like my mom even herself was shocked because she just saw me always writing. She didn't really think anything of it. But that poem really resonated with her, and it resonated with me as well. That experience, I've never forgotten that experience, and it really, provoked me to,
Mm,
to not only just write for myself, because that's what I was doing. I was writing for
right.
myself. I wasn't writing for someone else to read it, see it, and then feel anything. It was
Right.
me. It was personal. But after that day, I realized that probably I should take a step to make others see it. So
Sure. Sure. So what step was that? Did you take? What steps did you take to, I guess, write some for yourself, but also write some to where you're willing to allow others to read or hear you recite your poetry?
I mean, for a good while, I kept writing for myself,
Mm-hmm.
but after getting myself published, before getting myself published, like in the newspaper, the other step after that incident, I there was a competition in my community, and I
Mm,
decided to enter the competition, where I actually won. It's a talent competition. I was surprised myself, like, whoa, that was unbelievable. And most of the adults and the children, even the children, it was surprising to me. Like, they were saying, whoa, that touched me. And that's when I fully grasped, like, whoa, there is something here, because it's more than one person now is telling me. And
mm,
so by the time I was around, I think 19, I got my first poem published in Gleaner. Gleaner is one of the oldest and biggest newspaper company in Jamaica. Like,
wow.
it's very hard to get published in Gleaner.
Wow.
So that experience, and I got, like, I think 32 poems got published overall, so that pushed me to say, okay, this is this mission that I'm on. It's not
Mm,
about me. No, for a good while it has been about me, my experience, my emotions, my feelings. Everything is about me. I eventually I stepped away from it being about me to
mm,
being, what is it that I'm seeing in the world? So it wasn't just about personal experience. No, I started to write on nature. I started to write on politics. So my world was open up now that I saw the world for what it was. And, I began to write in that way till I got the opportunity to go on open mics. And over a period of time, I got to also perform on a big stage show. It's titled the Jamaican Poetry Festival, and it's organized by a gentleman named Yasa Safari. He's actually a legend in poetry.
really?
One of my biggest shows, and I wasn't even known like that. And so from there on, I was like, okay, there's something big and there's something brewing inside of me, and I need to, go deeper to see the world, and start to bring my message. Need to be more potent.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. A good friend of mine, his name is Orville the poet. He said he said to me, God gave you a gift, not for you to keep it for yourself. He gave you a
Mm,
gift for you then to wrap it and to give it to someone else.
indeed.
And right. And that says a lot to me. And it sounds like it makes a lot of sense for you as well. And yeah, there's poetry that's just for you, you know. But this gift that we have, it really can free a lot of people. It can heal a lot of people, allow people to cope with a lot of things that they're dealing with. And it sounds like, well, let me ask you. So, but when you started, were you simply inspired by Maya Angelou, or like how did you just start writing?
I I when I started, it wasn't like I was inspired by anyone, because
Okay.
I didn't necessarily have, like, someone in my community was doing poetry, so I didn't
Okay.
have anyone to look to. I didn't actually see anyone doing it. When I started writing, it was it was a hobby, and it brought out outside of me because of things that was happening, in my world and in my situation. My father abandoned me when I was about 1 year old. So
Mm,
growing up, you have these emotions that are fester inside of you. You don't
mm-hmm.
know what to do with it. So it came out naturally.
I
And there was
see.
other things that were happening. I was very aware as a child, like in terms of what's happening in my home, what's happening in my community, what's happening in my country. And I think with that level of awareness, the only thing that I could do was just express it on paper, because
Mm,
I'm going through so much. And, as a child, you're not capable to understand or have any strategy or technique to cope with certain things. So the only access I had was pen and paper. And as I began to write,
mm,
I also heard on radio, like Muta Baruka. He would be on the radio because, in Portmore, the O's are joined. So if my neighbor is playing a radio, I can actually hear it inside my home. So when they have on their radio, I could hear poets. And so one of the poets that really, I would say, um, continue to inspire me would be like a Muta Baruka, and then eventually Louise Bennett. And then I went on to start reading like Langston Hughes, Maya Angelou, Emily
mm.
Dixon, Wordsworth. So the list goes on and on.
Wow. Wow. Tell me about those books above your head. Are those your books?
Yeah, I have a lot of books. I mean, I have like history books, I have like Bible, I have a couple of poetry books, I have multiple like authors and stuff like that. I have Shakespeare, like a big Shakespeare. Like this is whoa, massive.
Whoa. Wow. That's the
Yeah.
big one.
Yeah, I have a lot of books, music. I read all type of material. Like I'm not limited to one area. I love to read. My area of study was history and philosophy. So I have a
Really?
very curious mind. So if I see like a word that I don't know, I would actually go on internet and actually sit down, read it. Then I'll probably YouTube it to see if there's a documentary. I'm kind of weird in that sense, I guess.
No, no, that is inspiring, to really get the depth of the word or the sentence or the story. That's very admirable, I would say. Because a lot of people just take it as face value and say, okay, all right, that's what it meant. All right, great. you know, but you get the history behind it, and I can appreciate that, and I'm sure it enlightens your writing.
It does. It does. And not only that, especially when you're on social media, I mean, social media, like there's so much things that you're exposed to,
Hmm.
and you don't want to offend people by using, the wrong word in the wrong context, because, I'm not from other countries like Jamaica. We are very raw in our words, and certain words mean certain things for us. So can't
Right,
just imagine I go on social media and I say something and I didn't mean it in a negative way. Especially I realize that people are being labeled, getting lots of label, and sometimes I think
right,
it's a level of ignorance for that person, and I think it should be a moment of teaching when
sure,
someone realizes that they have made a mistake. It's not always a case that they're always racist or they're
right,
whatever. I think
right,
sometimes this cancel culture, it's actually, to me, it's not helping people. It's actually allowing people to remain in their ignorance
right.
rather than
Very
teaching.
true, very true. Because a lot of times the cancellation will happen without even getting the true story.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like as soon as they, and it's like bandwagon too. All right, who else are we canceling? I've seen that Facebook post several times. All right, who are we mad at today? I'm like, what? It's just crazy, but um so where you matter of fact, where in Jamaica do you live, if you don't mind me asking?
I live in a place called Portmore.
Okay,
It's
okay,
otherwise known as Sunshine City. That's
gotcha.
my nickname.
Why is that?
Because majority of the time, that's what's always happening. Sunshine, the sun is
Wow.
always shining. Like even if half of Jamaica there is rain, you can guarantee that there is no rain where we live. That's just how it is.
So what's the weather like now in winter?
Uh Most of the time it's remain like Jamaica don't is not like America where you guys change all the time.
Really?
Yeah. Unless it's like hurricane months, we might have like heavy rains. But majority of the time is still like oh it is like either sunshine or dependent on which side of Jamaica you live.
Really? So no
Yeah.
snow where you live, huh?
No, we don't know what's snow like. I always see that on TV.
Wow. Have you been to
Yeah,
the
but
States?
we have encountered ale. You probably know
Oh,
that.
really?
Yeah, ale.
Okay.
I've also eaten it before just to see what it was like. Tastes pretty much
Hell.
like this.
So have you been to the States before?
I've never traveled outside of Jamaica.
Really?
Yeah, I've never physically no, but my works poetically it has
But your
gone all.
work has gone before you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, the
so
Bible did tell us. I think Proverbs 18 verse 16. I think it
it
did tell
will
us.
indeed it does. Yes, that's good. That's good. So we've never met in person, right?
No, not
And that's the power of the internet and social media.
true.
But more powerfully, if that's a word, um, the power of your words will go before you.
Yes.
Yes. And I'm not sure who we know in common. I can't remember. I'll have to look at our Facebook page, but who our mutual friends are. But someone shared, and this is a good transition. Someone shared that you just won an award in the United States, but you live in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Tell me about that award and or that competition. What's that?
So the award that you're talking about, it's the Sarabita Awards. It's organized by Rasatiba. He lives in New York. He's
Mm.
also a Jamaican American. And how I got to know about him was through another poet, Richie Innocent. So I don't know Rasatiba myself.
Okay.
I know him on social media. I don't really know him that well. But Richie Innocent, another poet in Jamaica, when he goes to the States, he's always talking about me for some reason with other poets or organizers because, he just loves my work and he's a very good person in the sense that he's someone who promote other people's work. He's not
Sure.
jealous. When he sees good work, he will speak about it.
Awesome.
And so he went up there and he began talking about, his experience with me because we were on a school tour. So we had a poetry school tour in Jamaica. And yeah, and I have, worked on different stages. And then so he was telling Rasatiba about me. And I assumed that Rasatiba did some research.
Mm-hmm.
And then he began to follow my works in terms of what I was doing with poetry. And he and I started to correspond on social media, and so I was awarded. But previously, before that award, I received an award before that, um, spoken word artist of the year from Black Ice, and that from
Really?
extraordinary talent.
Right.
He's based in Chicago.
Yep.
So 2020 have been like a year. I mean, like in terms of um, you know, in terms of the coronavirus, and
Right.
then 2021, like I won 2 awards. I was kind of surprised because I wasn't expecting anything in 2020, to be honest, because
Wow.
it just started in such a way. So so I was deeply honored to be recognized for my works, not only just poetry in terms of writing books, but in terms of my performance as well as my activism in terms of volunteerism, because I also volunteer, youth development, nation building, because I believe that poetry is not only writtenly or spokenly, but
Mm-hmm.
it should be used as activism. You must share
Most
it beyond.
yes. Yes, most definitely. I've always said that poetry or poets are the narrators of movements.
Indeed.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So those awards, it wasn't a competition, it was more so through merit.
Well, the spoken word artist of the year, that was a competition. We
Okay.
had poets in the category like people from Ghana, people from Nigeria. So that was a competition that people voted across the world, which to me like that was crazy because I'm like I mean like I send out my works all over, but sometimes you don't know how far your work reach until competitions like these when people are to vote and people are voting across the world for me. So that was super crazy when I heard that I won.
So
You
did
know?
you have to submit a list of your poetry, or did they just kind of gather it and said this is her portfolio? How was that orchestrated?
Well, first you had to be nominated,
Okay.
and they had to do their also did their research to to see if certify if you're really as good as they say.
Right.
And then when I was nominated, eventually I started to send out to other people, and people started sending out. So I got by votes I won that one. But in terms of the Sarabita now, it was given to me by the organization itself. So
Mm,
two different process.
got it. Got it. So that's amazing. So in a pandemic, you became an international poet.
I wouldn't say that it was 2020 that made me international because I've been international for a while in terms
Okay.
of my publications, like even my books. My first book, Pearls Among Stones, was published by Canadian Brian Rickson. And so I also have been in anthologies. I've won competitions, I've also been shortlisted in Ireland, England, you can name it, like Nigeria, Ghana. My works have gone to like places like New Zealand. So I've always have international, but I didn't actually win international awards in that
Sure.
sense. So that was, yeah. So I think that skyrocketed basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. You are definitely superseding my expectations. I just knew of the award. I didn't know. Um Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That's awesome. So I gotta go back. I gotta go back and check you out. Do you have a website?
Yes, I have a website. It's on Wix. So
Okay.
yeah, it's Antonia Valier. Oh, that so
Hmm.
ANTONIAVALAIRE.
Cool. That's awesome. That's awesome. I have a Wix site as well, so I know what you mean. So so man, this is awesome, man. I really can't wait till this is over because I want to go check you out. A lot of your work. And so tell me about Black. So you met Black Ice through one of your colleagues.
Yes.
Okay. Because I know Black Ice, he has an organization called Poet, right?
Yeah, people of extraordinary talent.
Yes. We've connected through social media, and I definitely gotta. I'm glad you said Black Ice. I gotta reach out to him. He has chapters, right, in different states and different countries as well. I know he's in. He has a chapter in Africa.
He has one in Jamaica here. I am supposed to join later this year, actually.
Really,
Yeah.
man, that's
So I've already
amazing.
got my rule book and everything already. So I'm just need to commit to the
Right.
organization. So
Okay. Okay. So where you are, obviously, you're known in other countries as well, but you're known where you are
yeah,
as.
yeah. Because I when I got published in Gleaner, people started taking note. And then when I published my first book, I was about 20 when I published my first book. And by the age of 21, I got Prime Minister National Youth Award, which is the highest youth award in Jamaica. So I was honored by my country. And then I
Whoa.
went on to win another award. So
So who or what pushed you to write a book?
actually, another poet, Alan Jankowski, and he's deceased now. But
Mm,
I mean, we talk about the power of social media and the power of people. So I was on LinkedIn one day, and I saw his poem, Facebook poem. I don't normally like
mm,
comment on,
mhm,
because it was LinkedIn. I was new to the internet. By that
mhm.
time, I just won a PC because I didn't have access to most of the time. Even when I was getting published, I was just, I didn't have access to like the internet. I used to use the school computer and stuff like that.
So you won a computer.
Yeah, so I won a computer. I decided that, I was going to take my poetry serious. I was going to look up some poetry sites. So I went on LinkedIn, and I saw a poetry group. I joined it. And then I saw his poems. I saw one of his poems, rather. And then I decided to comment. And then he inboxed me and said, "Hey, thanks for liking my poem. Can I add you on Facebook?" And at first I was like, I don't trust people on the internet. Like,
Right,
yeah, I was like, I don't really trust you. Plus,
right,
I'm not too certain. Like, I don't know much about the internet, so I'm a little scaredy cat in that sense. So I was like, should I add this man? Should I give him any information? I don't know him. I don't know what he's about.
right.
And I was like, you know what? I just started my Facebook. There wasn't any much on it. I didn't even have my picture. I was like, okay, so there's nothing to steal. There's nothing I need to be afraid of. So I was like, okay. So I told him my name and he added me. And then eventually he started adding me to several poetry groups. Eventually I met a gentleman named William S. Peters.
Okay.
He is the owner of this publishing company named Inner Child Press. And so my first poem got published in a competition in his book. And so I was like, okay, I see where this gentleman is helping me. Let me see what's going on.
Hmm.
Until eventually, over a period of time, he was almost like a mentor, because he would say, you know what, send me your poems and let me look at it. And I would send it to him and he would read it and, give me guidance. Till eventually he said to me, you have been writing so long, you need to publish a book. And he recommended Brian Rickson, who I didn't know, by the way. And I before I he published my books, he also had several anthologies that I entered, and over a period of time as well, he decided that he wanted to publish my book. We began talking. I didn't even actually say it to him, because I didn't know him that well. So even though Alan had recommended me to do it, I didn't actually pursue it in that sense. But over a period of time, Brian decided that he wanted to publish my book free of charge. I was like, okay, I am getting uncommon favor. I've never dreamed or expected anything like this. So that was just unbelievable for me, that people, strangers, people I don't know, was willing to assist me in my writing, develop me, develop my character, develop my writing skills. And I was just getting assistance. It was just a beautiful, emotion and feeling. I was very honored.
Your gift will make room for you.
Most definitely.
Yeah. I posted that on Facebook recently, but I added to it. I said, your gift will make room for you if you stay consistent and don't quit.
That's so true.
Because people will just say that your gift will make room for you.
For you, yeah.
But how if you don't stay consistent, right? Like we have to add some context to that, because if we just leave it at that, then most people will just say, it'll fall in my lap.
No, I don't. You got to put in the work.
There you go. There you go. And so you've been putting in the work from age 10 and on, and you've been consistent with it, and also with your evolution as well. You've honed in on your craft, seem like, and people started to hear and read about you, and you haven't even been outside of Jamaica. That that says so much to me, and I'm sure it's saying so much to those listening and watching. And they have to be silent, like right now, like, okay, all right, and I'm complaining. You know, all you had was a pencil and paper. You didn't have a computer. You won one. You won a computer, or you went to the library or the computer place where they had internet. You didn't know anything about the internet. It's no excuse. It is put in the work, stay consistent, and don't quit.
And marketing and promotion, like that's one of the hardest thing. Like that's why I've been known, because I've been sharing my works. I enter like competitions, like I Google, like I tell you, I put in some serious work in terms of I just go on Google, start reading a lot of poetry competitions, and some most of the times you know you don't get shortlisted. They tell you that you're not good. I get all of that. If everything you can think of, the rejection letters, you're not good enough, you're not this, you're not that. And you know, my works have also been stolen. Like everything you can think that happened to a poet or an artist or a creator, I went through all of that. So if somebody stole my work, yeah, someone did steal my work. And I felt like, and it was my brother. I remember when my work got stolen, like the man just, he took my work, and I was like, how can somebody steal, like especially somebody who's older than me, steal my poetry? And I was saying to my brother, you know, that's what happened to me. And he was like, well, if you keep it to yourself, it remains there and it don't move, you know. But if you take risk, it's a possibility that, you know, someone else might read it. They might eventually publish a book. Or so it was kind of very, and you know, when he spoke to me, and I was like, he's making perfect sense. Like if I keep it to myself, that's where it remains and nothing else. But if I take the risk, and you know, because not I can't use one bad experience to judge everybody. So I decided to take the risk by, you know, going into different anthologies in different countries, and that was a big risk. And so when I got the opportunity to be published, like even places like New Zealand, you know, Ireland, Ghana, Nigeria, there was, you know, encouragement. I started pushing out even more. And then I decided that I didn't just want to write now. It was time for me to speak, you know, spokenly. I needed to start reciting my work, start to, you know, develop that skill. And so I've been on several stage shows and virtual shows in performance. Yeah.
In 2020.
Yeah, in 2020, like I was recently on Bridgewater Festival. That's a college in the US. Right here in my veranda, I did my little video, sent it to them. They checked it and they said, "Oh, awesome! We are going to show it on, you know, our wall and stuff like." And I'm like, "Okay, awesome! Like that's good. Like this is very good."
Right. Yeah. You know, there's opportunity in the drought.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you subscribe to the notion that, oh, it's a pandemic, I can't go anywhere, I can't win anymore because I'm stuck in the house. You're right there, same place. You're talking to me right now. You're talking to me because I saw you, right, on Facebook win that award, but you're in Jamaica. I'm in Maryland, of the United States of America. And you know, we're still in a pandemic, but it's so important to know how to pivot. Right?
You have to be creative and you have to be innovative and you have to be, you know, like when there is a shift in the trends, you have to learn to adapt, because that's a thing. Like I normally perform on stages in front of people, but you know, last year I had to learn how to do it virtual, and to my surprise, I'm actually very good at it. I was very surprised because, you know, you feed off that energy of seeing people.
Right.
It's very difficult to be on screen, because screen it's just, I mean, it's mechanical. There's no emotions.
Right.
But you have to build up yourself to know that you're delivering to someone who is going to listen, who is going to watch, who is going to, you know, read. and that emotion, they're going to feel it.
Yeah,
People can feel things through screen. So
most definitely. I mean, they watch movies.
ah,
Yeah, right.
yeah, I mean it's always there, but I mean when we are supposed to do it like poets, like it's the hardest thing.
Indeed.
But I mean you can do it. I will encourage people to
Yeah, but like you said,
practice.
you have to shift,
Yeah.
adapt, and retrain,
Mm,
sometimes rebrand,
that's true.
and show them that you can do it this way too.
Yeah. It's another skill. That's the thing. We are always learning,
Good perspective.
yeah.
So this is an opportunity to learn, because when the world opens back up, now you have a new skill.
Ah,
You have a new skill to where you don't have to turn down uh, great opportunities if you can't travel. Hey, I got this camera and this microphone. Let's still do it.
mm,
You see what I'm saying?
yeah.
I mean, again, I keep pointing back to you. So let me ask you. So, futuristically, right? What are your plans? Do you see now that your words and your work are going before you? Do you plan to follow where your words have taken you?
Most definitely. Yeah, I would definitely want to travel to perform as well as, have a publishing company
Mm,
because at the end of the day, there's a lot of unpublished poets and, there's a lot of poets, even when they do get published, they don't know what next to do, especially in Jamaica. So I've kind of been using social media. Like, as I tell you, I didn't have access to all these technology. And
hmm
so the minute I got them, I kind of just went in a mode of where I started, doing a lot of research. I'm very good at that. I like to research. If I don't understand something, I research.
hmm
Anything that I don't know, I try to research. I try to do it myself. If I can get someone else to do it, like, because sometimes you need help.
Right.
But if you can't get anyone else to do it, I will try to, research and see how best I can do it myself. And even if I do it and it turns out terrible, I know that because it's my first time, I just need
Mm,
to do it again over and
mm.
over until, to me, they say practice becomes perfect. I believe that practice becomes consistent. So that's my thing.
Ooh.
So I continue to work hard on my craft and try to utilize everything that I have because I don't have much, but the little that I have, I try to utilize. That's the thing, is when you have little,
Mhm,
you have
mhm.
it forces you to be innovative and creative. When you
Yep.
have a lot, sometimes you don't know what to do with it. But when you
Yep.
have very limited resources, you have to thinking outside of the box. Like, what do I do? Like, how do I get this product to point A to point B? All I
Mm,
have is a laptop or all I have is a webcam.
mhm.
You can still use it. You can still perform. You can still after you perform. You can still save it and upload it to YouTube and use social media and as your marketing tool. And that's
Yeah.
what I've been doing pretty much,
Yeah.
utilizing all avenues that I have access to at this point.
hmm And networking.
Yeah, most definitely networking. Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I have developed over the years. As I said, I used to be very shy,
Mm-hmm.
but I have developed in terms of my skills, in terms of talking to being more open, talking to people, getting to know people better, and then social media has really opened doors. So definitely, I would want to travel, own a publishing company, be a better spoken word performer. I mean, there's so much that I want to do because now I realize that indeed my poetry is ministry. I can
Mm.
use it to minister to people. So I know that there's a gift there, and I need to continue using it to the best of my ability, as well as use it to give God thanks, because I'm a Christian.
Mm. Yeah.
So
Likewise.
yes.
Mm. Awesome. Awesome. So have you had the opportunity to partner or work with that gentleman that is big in Jamaica in poetry? I'm not even gonna try to say his name. Um,
I mean, I've been on his shows and stuff like, and I'm also part of it's somewhat like part of his organization, not fully, Yasa Safari, but if he has like anything, he will share it with me, and I would, share it with others. So, like for example, if he has a competition, right now he has a competition, so he would email me and say, hey, this is what I'm up to, and I will begin to share it with my network, especially with the young poets, because we're always looking for new opportunities, and he's a legend, so it would be great to be on his show, great to what's going on in the poetry world. Like you have to be very abreast of the different the elders. For example, so we have like Yasa Safari, Muta Baruka. Rastukura is another poet that he's also part of the People of Extraordinary Talent. So as I said, we have a charter here. So Rastukura, Rich Innocent, soon I'll join them. And I have also been on his show. I've been on like two of his shows already. One was I was in person, and then he kept one last year, which was a virtual, which was like it had the most views, and that was just wonderful. So, I also work alongside with him, and I work with like you have 876 Poetry platform. It's mostly young poets, so I've been working with them, and we have another group, Life Circle Poets, which is run by another elder. His name is Melanin. I'm their treasurer, so I do work with a lot of poets, and in different capacity. I try
Indeed.
to be that person who can assist wherever that I see fit.
Well, let me ask you this. Would you say in Jamaica there's more of a poetry community, or has it also developed a poetry industry as well?
Um, let me put it this way. So I'm pretty young, so there always been like a poetry community, but obviously I want to really know about the different poets, because as I go along, I'm learning of poets that I've never heard before. And when I begin to research about them, I realize that they have made a lot of impact. So that's the thing, like you don't generally know the different poets, because poetry, for some reason, it's not as huge in Jamaica, even though Jamaica is known as a cultural country.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's very complex.
sure.
So poetry is not something that is huge in Jamaica. So it doesn't get that airplay, or that big stage
Right.
to for people to really know about it. You have to literally search. So
Sure.
if you want to know of the different events or know about the different people, you would have to go to an event that you probably hear about, like a friend tell a friend kind of thing, and you go. And that's pretty much what happened. Like I went to an event, I met several poets. Then eventually I started go to more events, because they start telling me, oh, there's a poetry event. It's happening in Portland, or it's happening there. You need to go there, and you have to go. So it's actually a physical work where you have to go to these places. So it's not like there is this, it's not like there's this big community on Facebook or something like that where But we do have like a poetry society,
Okay.
which is held at Edna Manley School of Visual Arts. So they have meetings that people can go, which is a good way to start. And also there is like a revival in terms of poetry. Normally, like most of the poets that I know, they are mostly elders, but there have been like a revival now, because young people like my age are, I don't know, like we have discovered poetry, or we are really finding it out. So there's like a growing number of young poets, which is very good, because I mean you don't want it to be a dying art. It's beautiful that young poets are continuing the mantle. So that's kind of what's going on. But it's,
Okay.
it's growing. It's a growing industry, I would
Okay.
say.
Awesome. Yeah. The reason I asked that, obviously I'm unfamiliar with the environment in Jamaica, but the reason why our slogan is uplifting the poetry community and building the poetry industry is because that very reason, actually, uh, obviously, as poets, we know the community is strong,
Mm.
right? It's tight knit and it's intimate, and I want to make sure that we continue to uplift that, but I also want to make sure that we build the industry as well to where we know in industries that's where transactions and deals are made, and disruption of other industries take place to where poetry is inserted in those industries, just like when rap started, it was just a community, it was a culture.
Yeah,
The
like it was underground.
Right. Exactly. So it was tight knit, just like poetry is now. So the community is old, right? It is since the beginning of time, pretty much, right?
Yeah,
But the industry is still in its infancy,
yeah,
right? And right to where the movies haven't started to call the commercials, even the companies and organizations, they'll pay a poet $25, $50 to say a poem, you know what I mean? But they have not gotten to a place where they'll pay us at minimum 100 to 200 to 250 to 500 to 1,000, like they will a singer, even a rapper, a dancer, and so the reason, or the premise behind the podcast is to really show people like yourself how you have gone through your journey, and still have been able to achieve a level of success. You may
yeah.
not be where you want to be right now, right? But there's a poet that's just starting, or there's a poet that's been doing it for a while, but still can't figure how to do poetry full time or just take it to the next level, and just through this conversation, I'm sure that they're like, man, like she's done all of that, and she hasn't had a lot to work with. Um, this is inspiring to me. I know I can do a lot more.
Most
Yeah,
definitely.
indeed. Yeah. So I appreciate the information that you're presenting, and you might not even think it's information. Like someone is getting a lot from what you're saying right now. Yeah. Yeah. But trust me, I posted an inbox from someone. I don't know what state that person was in. But he was like, I'm in my late 30s and I wrote my first poem like last year or something like that in 2020. And I haven't taken it much further than that because, I feel like my education is limiting me, and from watching our episodes, he's like, man, that's not even an excuse. That's not
Yeah.
even a reason to not continue. So just imagine when people listen and watch this, they're going to be like, first of all, I need to reach out to her and I need to follow her,
Definitely.
and just get some inspiration from her because
And the network as well, not just inspiration from me. Like if you're
yes.
on Facebook, like immediately you start to get the network of the other, like publishers and poets. And there's a lot of calls to submissions and anthologies.
Mm,
Because the thing about poetry, like the minute you start to write and you start to get inspired, you'll be surprised that within 1 year, how much you have written and how much you have gotten published. Because I mean, each day you can be sending out even 5 to 10, 15, publications. And I mean, it's awesome because that's what I do sometimes. Like sometimes I would be like, I take up my laptop and today I have a lot of submissions. Like I take my book because, you normally forget sometimes. So I would
mhm,
put notes and say, okay, this is due this day. And then, I decide like even one day that I'm going to send out. And so I send out a lot of submissions just in one day alone. So just imagine what you can do in, 5 days or 3 days. You have to do it every day. But I mean, if you're really serious and you can really put your work out there and you'll be surprised. And trust me, the minute you start get published, you'll be really feel inspired because people will message you. Like I've gotten people message me like from different country and they're like, oh, I read your poem in our book and like I was inspired. And before that, we start to have a conversation. We became friends on Facebook. Even on the road, like I'm walking on the road. Before, like publishing Gleaner. I remember this lady. When I was attending pre-UA.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one time I didn't get published like in the Sunday Gleaner. And she saw me at school and she's like, how comes I didn't see your poem in the Gleaner? I'm like, that's not how it works. Like they choose
They
like
thought you were a
I was like,
resident poet.
yeah. So she was like, every Sunday I look out for your poems. I'm like, yeah, that's not how it works. Like, and I encourage her, I was like, don't only look for my poems, read other poems. And then she came back to me the other day and she was like, I started reading other poets and it was amazing. I'm like, that's the thing. Like, if you don't see my poem, like read someone else. Like, I don't want you to just read my work because, there's variety. So and that was a thing. I was like, whoa, this lady really attacked me. Like, how comes I didn't see your work? And I'm like, that's not how the Gleaner works. Like, they choose who they want to publish in what week. And so, I would truly encourage people to, like, if you're really passionate, and apart from passion, passion meets purpose. So you have to be purposeful in what you're doing. As I said, when I began writing, it was about me. So everything I wrote about myself, because that's just how it starts with writers. Like everything's about you, you're going through all this pain and you cry and whatever. But by the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, like when I developed in terms of character and as I got older, I realized that I wasn't the only person who was going through this. There was other people and there was more things to write about. There was about nature, there was politics. Like I'm like a social advocate because I write a lot of things about politics, about religion. Like, even I last year I became a Christian, January the 19th. And so I'm reading my Bible and stuff like that, and I'm reading a lot about religion and spirituality
Mm.
because I want to fully understand it and that I can share with someone else, and I want to transform my writing as well because even though I was an unsaved, but I wasn't like I don't want, oh I would say this, I was still like conscious or still spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
My works was still good, but I mean now I'm more purposeful. Like how can I make my work where when I begin to speak that is ministering to someone? How can I
Mm.
transform someone's life? How can I speak to their situation and it change? That's the direction that I want to move into, you
Mm.
know.
Mm. So let me ask you this: with your newly, I guess, conversion, if you will, how has that inspired your writing?
I mean, as I said, like I began reading the Bible more than ever,
Mm.
and like when I begin to read, it not only expand your knowledge or expand your reading capacity, it really expand your level of spirituality.
Mm.
And what has really transformed, like it's almost like you're seeing things in a visionary way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't just see things one way, I see it in multiple ways. That sometimes I even say something to someone, they're like, I never thought of it that way. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, I've been thinking and in different ways, and so my writing, as time progresses, I know my writing will branch off in different ways, and it would really show variety and put a spin on things and how we view things sometimes, because sometimes we see things in an illusionary way, like as this I think it was Malcolm X who said that the media, for example, it's like the greatest entity
Mm-hmm.
where it can pretty much like turn a guilty man innocent or an innocent man guilty. So
Mm.
that's the power of media. But what about the power of poetry? How can I bring truth to people? How can I inspire people? How can I move away all these illusions and delusions that people are seeing, that people are caught up in, because we are like in a bubble and people can't see beyond what they're just seeing. How can I bring them to that light, pretty much? Mhm.
Awesome. 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 So we just spoke about purpose, right?
Yeah,
And within purpose, you do things with intention.
yeah.
And where do you see you taking your writing in the future, in the next 5, 10 years? Where do you see yourself?
Wow. So I'm definitely the next 5 years. Obviously, I want to publish more books. and but improve my spoken word performance. So in that case, but also I hope that within 5 years I should have had my publishing company
Mm.
where I'm able to help other young poets in Jamaica, especially, to reach that potential. Because this mission is not for me alone; it's for others. It makes no sense you get all this glory for yourself, because it means nothing by the end of the day if you're
Mhm.
not helping someone else, if you're not changing the future generation.
Mhm.
Because Jamaica is going through a turmoil, and people are lacking inspiration, and sometimes people just can't see beyond their situation.
Mm.
So if you are at a place where, because I have definitely, my family and I have definitely improved. Like, we're not rich,
Mhm.
but the level that we were at in the first place, where we couldn't, we didn't even have light, we didn't have water, we didn't have
Mm.
access to so many things, and now we have access to these things. That is showing growth. That's showing that we're building our generational wealth. But apart from my generational wealth, how can I bring my country's wealth?
Mm.
So I definitely want to see myself where I own my company. I'm helping other young poets not only to publish, but to perform and also bring the business. We keep talking about business.
Mhm.
By the end of the day, yes, we are passionate and we want to change lives. But I mean, how can I make this, how can it become some finances, financial, pretty
Exactly.
much? Where's the money in it? Yeah, poetry don't make money, but I mean, there is benefits to it. You can get benefits, and so that would be something that I want to bring the business side of it, like really teach young poets, because that's something that we struggle with. Like, most
Mhm.
people, we're just passionate, we write poetry. That's
Mhm.
just pretty much. We don't know the different entities where to get copyright, like as simple as something like that, copyright.
Right.
Most poets don't even know where to go. Like, so I would definitely want to have a publishing company that has those areas where I can develop a poet. Um, definitely go on different stages. Probably also get married, have children. I mean, we
Mm.
can't let that out. Poetry is not just that alone. There's more to
Right.
life.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and how can I get more, people into the kingdom of Christ? Not
Mm.
forcing anybody, but how can people see where I've come from and see what I'm doing and be inspired to do better and do things in a positive way? Because definitely we want to reduce the crime and violence. We want to
Mm.
reduce the hatred that we see happening. There's a lot of hate in the world right now. I mean,
Mhm.
like, even more than ever, there's just this level of hatred. You can feel the tension. Like, people are so hateful. How can we break down these barriers? So these are definitely goals that I would want to do, and hopefully other poets, because as I said, we're a community. We might be in other countries, but really and truly we are under one spirit, in terms of we want the same thing to happen. We want to reduce crime and violence. We want to improve love. All these things I hope to in 5 years.
Mm. You said a a big piece of the podcast again is the building of the industry, and I really want poets to understand, even though it's not said often, but I want people and poets to understand there is money in poetry.
Yeah.
There is money in poetry, and that is a stereotype that we have to break and show. We have to show it, and so again, that is one of the reasons why I started this, because I'm 38, and for 30 years I've been trying to figure out where the
Wow.
money is in poetry, and because I could not find it, I said, let me create it.
Ah,
You see what I'm saying? I've
yeah.
learned, I don't know where I learned it, but I've learned, if you can't find something you're looking for, then that means you have the responsibility to create it.
And that is so true, because when I wanted to get published, I published my book, I started calling up a lot of publishers who were pretty known, but they weren't. Some of them were like, they are not interested in poetry. Some were like, pretty much in a nutshell, they were like, you're nobody, pretty much.
Right.
They're interested in you. And I was saying to myself, wow, so how will I be published then if no one is going to give me an opportunity?
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided to take it to social media. I decided to, you know what? I'm going to get myself publishing in magazines. I'm going to be on radio stations. I'm going to do, I'm going to put in that work.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully someone, see my work, which is pretty much what happened. Someone did see my work and eventually started to assist me to point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've been doing. And I've also been encouraging other poets. Like, you can't sit at home and just say, oh, I'm going to fold my arms and that's it. I'm like, especially in the pandemic, this is the best time now that when you're home to be writing. This is the best time to be creative. Like your juice is supposed to be, flowing right now, because right now you're locked away from distractions.
Mm-hmm.
You have control right now, because I mean, if you want to turn off the TV, because sometimes I turn off the TV and I'll be like, I need to get writing, and I write, so I mean, this is the opportunity. You have to utilize the opportunity and the spaces to really get those juices flowing.
But
And
you
like
know
I
what?
said, utilize what you have. So if it's limited resources, you have to utilize what you have to the best of your ability. Trust me, the
Yeah.
creativity and the innovation will come out. When you have little, it will come out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the thing is, so many people have replaced the distractions of the open world and with distractions within the home, and now they watch more TV.
Yeah.
And because before they were like, man, I don't have time to start a bit. I don't have time to write. I'm so busy, family, my job, my kids. And so now you're home.
What's your
What's
excuse? Why are
what's
you
the
complaining?
excuse now? But all I see on Facebook is, hey, what y'all watching? What's the best show right now?
Yeah, like I don't know what I've been happening for you. Like pretty much every post that I see, like everybody is now talking about like I'm in this series now, and I'm like that. There's nothing wrong with that, because I've watched movies before,
Sure.
inspired.
Sure.
I've watched lots of movies. I've listened to music. Like I love music. I'm a music lover. So
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of music, and the minute I sometimes I finish listening to music, a poem comes. So if it is a case that you're watching because you want to be inspired, but if you're just watching for just entertainment, that's what it's going to be by the end of the day, just entertainment and nothing else.
Yep.
So you
Yeah.
have to be purposeful in what you're doing, as I said,
Yeah.
especially when
Yeah.
you're an artist or a creative. Like you can't be just like everybody else, because how your process works. For
Right.
some people, it's when they're about to sleep, because sometimes I will be in my bed and I'm ready to sleep, and then something comes to me. You know what? I have to get up. If it's late, I have to get up and get my. That's why I always have to have my pen on my book, because
Mm-hmm.
there's anything can come at any time. Even when I'm on the bus, I have to have a pen and book, because anything comes, and I
Yeah.
just have to take note.
But so you know what that is? You've become more in tune with your purpose,
Mm.
right? And when you know that you're purposed for something, you also are more in tune with the fact that you don't have a lot of time.
Mm.
You don't have a lot of time on this earth. And we've seen that in 2020 with 400,000 people in the United States and however many across the world based off this pandemic, that, you're not guaranteed to live to your 97.
Man, like I recently lost my lecturer last year. He was about 36. Not the COVID-19 though, but it was like the day before we had our exams with him, and trust me, that shook me up. Like, I mean, like I've seen on TV where people are losing their lives at 18, but to be that close to it, like for somebody that you know personally, and just to hear that they died, and he had so much purpose, like he had so much to offer. And
Wow.
I'm like, whoa, that's a wake up call to know that really, I mean, life and time is not up to you. That's God.
Yeah.
And so every day I wake up, I say, thank God that I'm alive and well. And I ask God every day and I said, God, please allow me to that purpose
Mm,
and destiny that you have for me. I want to accomplish that,
mm,
I really want to accomplish that. I don't want to leave her in an untimely way. I
yeah.
want to leave when you say I must leave. And so every day I get up, I know that I can't waste the day. And
Mm-hmm.
the day is moving so fast. I don't know about you in your country, but in
Mm-hmm.
Jamaica, like the minute I wake up, I can't believe it's almost evening, it's almost night. I'm like, where did the day come? Where did the
Yeah.
day go? I mean, like time is really flying.
Yep.
And so I really have to take the day and do what is necessary. And my
Yeah.
mom always tell us the saying that, don't what you can do today, don't wait till tomorrow to do it, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Don't waste
Yeah.
time, pretty much. No time
Yeah.
waste.
Yeah. Because that's the only thing you can't get back is time, and so again, when you're in your purpose, you are so more in tune to the fact that you're up against the clock, and you have when you're in your purpose, you have so much work to do. You have so much work to
Yeah.
do,
And
you
you
know
might never know whose life you might save as well, because that's the thing. You're not living for yourself.
exactly.
I think that the world has lost that in terms of we really don't understand that we are not living for yourself alone. You're really they have a saying that no man is an island, because
Hmm.
no man can live alone by himself. No man can do anything by himself. Everything you do because of someone else. So even if you say you're independent to an extent, but you're not independent of humankind, because
Mm.
you can do nothing without someone else. Like, so, I mean, if it is today you wake up and you're supposed to do something, and it's a possibility that if you're supposed to go on the road and just, you don't know why you're going on the road, but you need
Hmm.
to go on the road, and probably you see somebody and you're supposed to speak to that person, because
Mm.
that person might be, thinking of committing suicide, and you might never know that you need to speak to that person, so you're saving a life. So that's how important time is. Timing is very, important. Purpose is important. As you say, you have to be very in tune to work in that purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. Antanya Valer, thank you so much. I don't know what time it is out there. What's is it? What time is it?
It's 17 minutes past 10.
Oh, so we said that. So it's the same time. That's interesting to me.
Yeah.
My geography is terrible. I don't mean to harm. I just know when I hear someone's in another country, it has to be ahead of me or behind me. But it's the same time for both of us. So it's late, folks listening and watching. I record in the evenings just because I have three daughters, 6 and under. So I had to put them to bed and everything. And again, that's a perfect example. There's no excuse. You know, I have three daughters and a wife and a full-time job, but I'm still getting it done. I'm talking to someone in Jamaica right now who's been international for some time now that I'm finding out, you know, winning awards in other countries. It's no excuse. If you're watching TV with the purpose, cool. If you're watching TV for some downtime, cool. But just know that you have a purpose, and if the TV and whatever else is distracting you from your purpose, you got to cut it off because you have so much to do. That's what we've been talking about, and we just want to, motivate and inspire you to pick up the pen, pick up the guitar, or whatever it is. Let's get to work and but thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, and I look forward to staying in contact with you. And when the world opens up, you got to come out to the States and to the nation's capital now that some of the craziness has somewhat ended. Did you get a chance to see the inauguration?
Yeah, I didn't necessarily watch it like live, but definitely I watched the performance, the poetry, because that was sharing like crazy on WhatsApp, on Facebook. So People know that I'm a poet,
woman.
so immediately they're like, "Oh, I got to share this with Antonia."
She stole. Yeah, when she was delivering. I'm not even going to say performing. When she was
Yeah, delivery.
delivering,
Yeah, that would be a better term.
yes, when she was, because she's 22
Whoa.
and knows how to balance a poem and a speech like this. You
It's
know,
extraordinary.
proportionate. And as it was happening, I'm sure it was with most poets. I was getting text messages. I was getting inboxed and notified on Facebook and everything. And I'm like, she is giving life right now. She took over the whole inauguration.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the highlight, and that's like extraordinary. That's the power of a poet. I mean, that's whoa, that's just crazy. Like right now, it has gone viral on the internet. I'm telling you, like the amount of messages that I've gotten is whoa, just me.
But see, that's a testament of the power of poetry, man. A lot of people that I'm sure are not like poetry lovers were just like, now that right there, though, that is amazing.
Yeah.
That's so one of my goals this year is to get Amanda Gorman on the podcast. I'm just going to put that out there into the world, speak it into existence. You
Most
know,
definitely.
indeed, if I can get Antonia Valaire on my podcast, I know I can get Amanda Gorman on, on my podcast.
It will happen, trust me. It will happen.
Indeed, most definitely. So, no, for real, we have to stay in contact. If you could leave anything with the people listening and watching, what would you let them know?
I mean, whoa, like life, like it's definitely the greatest thing because to be alive and well. I mean, we didn't get to discuss this, but the thing about me, like I was actually pronounced dead at birth. So yeah. So this is why I always talk about life because to be pronounced dead as a baby and to defy that and still living now and still healthy, like I have an appreciation for life that I can't even explain. That I just love life. So despite everything that I've gone through, and trust me, I've gone through a lot. Like I've been almost homeless like 3 times. I've had experience in racism here in Jamaica. I had discrimination, I had stuff with the state. Like there's so much. So I would say that, when you have life and if you have health as well, like health is wealth. It's the greatest thing. There's so much you can achieve because life is hope. And it makes no sense you waste that opportunity because there's a lot of people that are dying every day. My mom once said to me that the greatest wealth of knowledge is actually in the graveyard. And I was like, I've never really thought about that. That's some of the most amazing people are actually in the graveyard. They're in the cemetery. They have so much knowledge, they have so much wealth, and some of it died with them. They never shared it with their generation. And you know, and I'm like, I'm here. So I have to continue this journey of life and I have to do it the best way I can. I have to be very positive. And, if I can help someone along the way, I help them because that's what life is about. Life is a journey. Life is about sharing knowledge. It's about sharing love. And it's a very beautiful experience when you can meet people and you begin to share your experience with them and they share theirs. And there was a time when I was a bit ignorant because I didn't know much.
Mhm.
But as I begin to write and as I begin to network and, social media and as I begin to research, it's almost like you begin to understand people in a way that you have never understood them before. And this is why I was speaking about the cancer culture. I am saying it's not always a good thing to cancel people because people are from different backgrounds and different countries. So sometimes they are not exposed. Like I don't live in America, but
Mhm.
based on what I've seen, America is very exposed to a lot of things. So sometimes like different terms, I've never heard those terms before. And I'm like, okay, I need to go and research what does that mean? Because what if one day I say something and someone say, oh, you're that, and I don't know what they mean.
Mhm.
I mean, so I say life, you do what you can, and even if you're going through a bad day or or whatever, or bad times, know that there is hope. And it's all about also having people, good people around you. You got to have that support system. I mean, whoa, like support system, like as you said, community.
Mhm.
Some people don't have the support system, but they, in terms of life, but probably good family. But you can get support system from a community in the sense that if you're good at poetry, you can join the poetry community. You can join the church community.
Mhm.
You will have to reach out to people. If you keep away to yourself, you might just that's where it ends. You just keep away to yourself, and you go through depression by yourself. When you sometimes you have to reach out to people that people can help you.
Mhm.
Yeah, so wow.
That's huge. That's huge. Thank you for that. Listen, everybody, listening and watching this uh, inspirational podcast here. If you need to know more about what the Poet Life is doing, go to thepoetlife.com. Go follow at Pearls Among Stones on Instagram. Please do that right now. Show her some love. Even comment on the podcast on iTunes or wherever you're listening or watching. And let's stay connected. Even
Yeah.
reach out to me, right? And
DM me, guys, DM me. So if you want to ask
do
me
it.
questions in terms of poetry, what to do next, like I'm there, like I'm willing to assist people. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. She said it. Reach out to her. It's the Poet Life Podcast. Everybody have a great evening. Thank you.
Introducing the Poet Life Podcast. Go check it out today on your favorite platforms, including iTunes, Apple Music, and the website, thepoetlife.com.
Find a way. Find a way.